So, I'm going to say one thing here, and that is why. I'm not talking about the letter. I'm more referring to one of the 5 W's and an H. Who, what, where, when, why, and how. From my youth, when I was, well, maybe even before I was a youth, when I was young, we would study current events in school, and it would all come down. We would have to find a news story, one per week, and we would have to clip it out of the paper. Back then, we had physical papers, and everybody had them. They were delivered daily, and we would have to then bring them to school and then glue them in our book and write a detailed sort of a, I don't know, a report, or maybe better, an explanation about the 5 W's and the H. The who, what, where, when, why, and how of the article. And it seems to me that, we even had to include why we chose this article as something that in the week we thought was special. And quite often, I think a lot of us glossed over the fact that we chose this because it was the night before. I mean, it was like grade 5. It was grade 6. It was maybe even grade 4. We did this project off and on. And, we would say, well, why did you choose it? It was a wonderful personal, journey. And it said to me that we are special. Which really mostly meant, today is Thursday. I had to do this for today. Yesterday was Wednesday. And my dad only buys the paper on Wednesdays. Stuff like that. And, it was amazing because the teachers always looked past the fact that some of it was really, really contrived. And so I want to take this in 2 places. One, why am I posting more videos to WordPress and my blog, Rebounds, Ricochets, and Recollections, than I used to? And the other question is, no, let's just cover the first one first. Why am I doing it? Because it's different. And it's maybe a little bit out of my comfort zone. And, it's new, it's different for me, and it's a challenge to be able to sit back and just sometimes go off the top of my head what really inspires me, which is a rebound, a ricochet, and sometimes connects to something I recollect. Or to get up and say something that's important to me. And if I can say something that's important to me, maybe for those of you that I've referred to as dear reader, I guess you're now dear viewer, maybe, that can encourage you to stand up and say something that's important to you in a thoughtful way. Because the availability of high-speed internet in the first world really means that a lot of people put forth an opinion and they don't really think about it. And in the end, what do we end up with? We end up with a whole bunch of really, I want to say, visceral and uninformed opinions where we need to have discussions. And what I want to do is I always want to start a discussion. I want to do my research. I want to get in and be there for the duration. The other why. Why am I doing this more? Because I want to explore something and maybe even, take the opportunity to stand up and face to face, say in my own way, that might convince somebody else that there's another side to an argument, an issue, or a problem. And that to me is really important because I communicate really well with the written word. It's something that I was taught. I know what an Oxford comma is. I know how to use a semicolon. I can use a colon. I can use a colon. No, that's just wrong. And sometimes it's far easier to write about things that we believe. In my case, about God, or about humor, or about how the two really intersect, than it is to stand up and put something out there that somebody is going to watch and is going to engage with, because they themselves might be a more visual person or a more audio person than they are a person who reads. Well, it's like, oh, look, words on a page. And I don't ever want to eliminate one from the other, because, like Marshall McLuhan said, the medium is the message. Well, what if we can include a different message along the carrier of the message? So I want to get up and I want to do that. And I want to engage. Let's see. And then I'm going to pull out something from Ezekiel, a book in the Old Testament by the is he a minor prophet? I have to think. I think Ezekiel's technically classified as a minor prophet in the Christian Old Testament, or the Jewish Bible. And he said, and it comes up elsewhere, especially in I want to say 1 Samuel, just going off the top of my head, like other nations, or like other peoples. And maybe that's another reason why. Why am I doing this? Because like other nations, and the people of Israel, or the Jewish people, sometimes really have a really rough go of it. They don't get a king until long after other people in their region have kings. And it doesn't really seem in the, in the text to work so well for them. So why be like other nations? And, that is going to be a challenge. But what I'm also going to put out there is another why. And I really want to tie this one to something that's been occurring to me over time, and that's if we look at movies, and particularly the Marvel X-Men movies, and the idea of being special and being individual. So being individual and yet like other nations or like other peoples. And I see I want to say I see a couple of different parts to this. Maybe even hold me to it, but that is where I want to go, and I want to set this up because I finally need to get this out there. And I think it's something that will help me put some of what I've learned and some of what I've struggled with into perspective. Hopefully in some of these blogs and vlogs and whatever you want to call them, video expositions, I can put a little bit of text and maybe a couple of pictures and video captures or screen captures, so that I can illustrate my idea better. But I really want you to hold with me on that one as I explore the reason why. And so in really the way that I've always closed off my blog, cheers, blessings, Lehi Trioth, until we meet again.